Influence, Robert B. Cialdini. This is readable behavioral science about persuasion, written in a steady, practical tone with examples you can map to real business conversations without needing a psychology background. Entrepreneurs who actually read are rarely looking for motivation, they are looking for leverage. This book gives you a simple set of principles for how decisions are shaped and how commitments are formed. Use it as a mirror before you use it as a tool. Notice where your pitch relies on pressure, or where your offers are vague enough that people cannot say yes with confidence. The practical win is cleaner communication. You learn how to make the next step obvious, how to reduce hesitation, and how to build trust over time instead of chasing quick closes. This is also useful for hiring and partnerships, because many misunderstandings are persuasion problems in disguise. Someone wants to feel safe, respected, and clear about what happens next. Read it slowly and translate each principle into a small behavior you can test in the next week. When you use these principles, treat them as clarity tools, not tricks. The goal is honest communication that reduces friction and makes saying yes feel safe for the other person. The Psychology of Money, Morgan Housel. This is a short, story-driven finance book with a reflective tone, focused on how people actually behave around risk, patience, and uncertainty, rather than on formulas and forecasts. For entrepreneurs, money is not just a score, it is oxygen and optionality. This book helps you think clearly when your results swing from great months to uncomfortable ones. The central idea is that financial success is often about temperament, not intelligence. That matters in business because you will face long stretches where you are doing the right things and the results lag behind. The book pushes you towards safety buffers, simple rules, and humility about forecasting. It also helps you notice status spending, lifestyle creep, and decision-making that is really about ego rather than outcomes. A useful way to apply it is to define what enough looks like, in numbers and in lifestyle, so you do not accidentally build a company that traps you. Pair this with execution books, because good execution is wasted if you run out of time or cash. The stories also remind you that good business is built on long horizons. If you can stay in the game, you get more chances to be right. A useful habit from this book is separating what you can control from what you cannot. Control your burn rate, your savings buffer, and your ability to wait. Let markets and timing be uncertain without panicking. The Lean Startup, Eric Ries. This is a modern business book about building products under uncertainty, written with a workshop-like tone that emphasizes experiments, customer learning, and steady iteration over heroic guessing. If you only read one startup book, read this first, because it changes what you measure. The core idea is simple. You do not need more plans, you need faster feedback. Treat every big assumption as a testable claim. Build the smallest version that can teach you something, measure behavior, not opinions, then decide what to do next based on what you learned. This matters because many entrepreneurs confuse effort with progress. They ship features, run ads, and post content without learning whether they are moving toward a repeatable system. The book helps you build a rhythm where learning is built into the work. That reduces wasted months and reduces emotional whiplash, because your next step is evidence-based. The most useful mindset shift is being willing to change direction without treating it as failure. You are not defending your first idea. You are searching for the best version of the problem you can solve. The book also gives you language for metrics that matter. Instead of chasing vanity numbers, focus on whether your learning is real and whether your next experiment reduces uncertainty. The Mom Test, Rob Fitzpatrick. This is a slim, direct guide to customer conversations, written in a blunt, no-nonsense tone that helps you get useful feedback without leading people or collecting polite lies. The title is memorable because it points to a universal problem. People want to be nice. If you ask the wrong question, even your closest supporters will accidentally mislead you. The book teaches you to ask about concrete behavior. What did they do last week? What are they paying for now? What do they struggle with in their current workaround? The goal is not to win an argument. The goal is to learn what is true so you can make better decisions. This is the foundation of real customer discovery, and it keeps you from building a product for imaginary demand. The best use is immediate. Take your next 3 customer conversations and rewrite your questions to avoid compliments and hypotheticals. Then listen for the constraints, the trade-offs, and the language people naturally use. It also teaches you to protect yourself emotionally. If feedback feels bad, you can treat it as data instead of as judgment. When you combine this with the Lean Startup, your interviews become inputs to experiments, not just notes you never use. 0 to 1, Peter Thiel with Blake Masters. This is a provocative, idea-first business book with a confident tone, focused on building something meaningfully different, finding defensible advantage, and thinking from first principles instead of copying trends. Read it after you have some customer learning habits, because it is a strategy lens, not a step-by-step method. The practical value is the set of questions it forces you to ask. What are you uniquely positioned to do? What market is being ignored because it looks small? What do you believe that most people in your industry do not? Even if you disagree with parts of the framing, the book is useful because it pushes you away from shallow competition. Competing on price and incremental features is exhausting. The book encourages you to build something that has a clear reason to exist, and a clear reason people cannot easily replace it. As a reader, treat it as a thinking workout. After each chapter, write one sentence about how it changes your strategy. Then test that sentence against your current customers. The strongest entrepreneurs are often the ones who can hold two truths at once. You can be creative and disciplined. You can be ambitious and evidence-driven. This book helps you practice that balance. The Hard Thing About Hard Things, Ben Horowitz. This is an honest leadership memoir and management playbook, written in a direct tone that focuses on decision-making under pressure, hard conversations, and leadership when there is no clean answer. Many entrepreneur books talk about starting. This one talks about surviving. It is the book you want when things are messy and your calendar is full of decisions you cannot delegate. The key value is realism. It normalizes that some days will feel uncertain even if you are doing the right work. That is helpful because many founders interpret stress as a signal they chose the wrong path. Sometimes stress is just the cost of responsibility. The book is also practical about people. It focuses on how to communicate clearly, how to set standards, and how to make painful decisions without pretending they are painless. If you are building a company where your output depends on a team, this book gives you language for the parts of leadership that most business writing avoids. Use it as a reference book. When you face a hard moment, find the relevant chapter, then decide what you will say and what you will do in the next 48 hours. It pairs well with process books because it covers the moments when process is not enough and leadership must show up. High Output Management, Andrew S. Grove. This is a compact, methodical management book with a calm, engineering-like tone, focused on meetings, one-on-ones, goal setting, and building an organization that produces results reliably. Entrepreneurs often think management is vague. This book makes it measurable. It treats a company like a system where constraints, inputs, and feedback loops can be improved. The biggest shift is how it reframes your time. Your calendar becomes a production tool. You learn to design meetings that create decisions, not meetings that create status updates. You learn to run one-on-ones that remove blockers and develop people, not one-on-ones that drift. This is especially useful for founders because your attention is often the bottleneck. The book teaches you how to multiply output through clarity, expectations, and cadence. A simple application is to pick one recurring meeting and redesign it. Decide what output it must produce. Decide what information is needed. Then remove everything else. Over time, this reduces chaos. Your team can predict how decisions get made and how priorities get set. That predictability is a competitive advantage because it makes execution smoother and less exhausting. Good to Great, Jim Collins. This is a research-driven business classic with a steady analytical tone, focused on what separates durable companies from merely good ones, especially discipline, people decisions, and long-term compounding. Entrepreneurs sometimes dismiss older business books. The reason this one still matters is that it is about consistency, not tricks. It offers concepts you can revisit at different stages. The most practical ideas are about focus and standards. Put the right people in the right roles. Define what you will do and what you will not do. Then let time and repetition do their work. The book also gives you a language for ambition that is not frantic. You can aim high without reinventing the plan every week. That is important for founders who read a lot, because too much reading can create constant strategy churn. Use this book to build a stable core. Write down your few standards that never change. Then decide which experiments can change and which must not. Read it alongside execution-focused books, because the concepts become real when they show up in hiring, product choices, and the way you respond to setbacks. One way to use this book is to revisit it once a year. As your team grows, the same concepts show up in new forms. That makes it a good long-term anchor, not a one-time read. The Lean Startup, Eric Ries. This is a practical framework for turning uncertainty into small learning loops, written for builders who want evidence before they scale time, spend, or headcount. Here is a suggested reading order for this stack. Start with the Lean Startup so you stop confusing activity with progress. Add the MOM test immediately so your learning comes from behavior, not from politeness. Then read High Output Management so you can run a weekly cadence that keeps learning and output consistent. Read The Psychology of Money in parallel if money anxiety affects your decisions, because calm financial thinking prevents bad strategic moves made out of fear. After that, add 0 to 1 for strategic thinking, Good to Great for standards and focus, Influence for communication leverage, and The Hard Thing About Hard Things for the moments when leadership becomes heavy. You do not need to read these in one sprint. The point is to build a personal operating system. Each book adds a layer: learning, truth, cadence, money calm, strategy, standards, communication, and resilience. If you read in this order, the ideas reinforce each other. You will also notice a practical benefit. You spend less time debating and more time running small tests that settle debates. The MOM Test. Rob Fitzpatrick. This is your anti-delusion tool, written for founders who want truth more than applause, and it fits naturally into any decision and execution stack. A common entrepreneur myth is that reading makes you productive. Reading only helps when it changes what you do next. This section is about turning books into decisions. After each chapter you read, write one sentence that changes your plan. Then pick one small action that can validate or falsify that sentence within a week. That action is your real output from the book. The mom test helps here because it teaches you to test your assumptions against behavior. The lean startup helps because it gives you a structure for experiments. Together they create a loop. Read, decide, test, learn. If you read a lot, this protects you from becoming a collector of ideas. It makes reading serve execution instead of replacing it. You can also use a simple rule for what to keep. If an idea does not show up in your calendar, it is not real yet. Put one follow-up block on your calendar for the week. Then treat it like work, not like a nice extra. This is how you turn reading into compounding. You collect a small set of rules you trust, then you apply them repeatedly in meetings, product calls, and hiring decisions. High Output Management, Andrew S. Grove. This is the closing book because it keeps working after the novelty fades with a repeatable approach to turning good intentions into consistent output. If you want a simple rule, read to decide. Then write the decision down. Then build the smallest process that makes the decision happen without you having to remember it every day. That is why this stack is practical. The lean startup gives you learning loops. The mom test protects you from polite lies. High output management turns learning into cadence. When you combine them, you get a calm way to operate. You test, you decide, and you execute without needing constant adrenaline. If you want to keep this simple, pick one book for this month and one habit for this week. Then repeat. Small systems beat big intentions. Every week. If you want the full stack, the suggested order, and the exact ISBN list for every book mentioned, watch the long video on this channel and save it as your reference guide.